Hi, I'm Andy and welcome to my channel about crypto. In today's video, I'll give you a quick update about current market situation and especially what's likely to happen next for Bitcoin and Ether and how likely it is that we'll see some significant upwards movement for both of those currencies and also how high the peak is likely to be and how it will impact the rest of the market. So let's have a look at Bitcoin's chart first. In my previous video, I was talking about how Bitcoin's been largely going sideways for the last couple of weeks. And this remained true until, well, today. All the way up to yesterday, we had this constant sideways movement around 60 to 62k range. Today, so far, we're seeing quite solid upwards movement. In fact, this is a third daily green candle in a row. And it looks like this one may finally push Bitcoin's price a bit higher. We got almost to previous all-time high, around 66,500. Previous all-time high was just shy of 67 or around 67,000 depending on the exchange. And well, so far it looks like we've been rejected from that level or almost that level. But we have still a few hours to go, so we'll see what will happen next. It's quite possible that Bitcoin may actually set new all-time high today or tomorrow. From my point of view, I think it's likely that we will see Bitcoin going for a new all-time high within, if not the next few hours or a couple of days, then certainly within the next couple of weeks. And the reason why I think that is because, well, we've seen this sideways movement for a while. And, well, what's likely to happen next? We won't be going sideways forever. It's extremely unlikely that the price will dip. We held 60k level really strong. Other cryptocurrencies are performing really well. The market overall is in a strong position, but at the same time, it's not overheating. If we look at crypto fear and greed index, we are in the greed territory, but not in the extreme greed. If anything, we're just trending sideways for a while. We were in those sort of low to mid 80s when Bitcoin hit all-time high a couple of weeks ago. But then that index dipped and it stayed at that lower level. In other words, we are at price levels of Bitcoin and Ether are at price levels where they were in April and May this year. But the overall risk and the likelihood of imminent bubble pop is far, far lower. The market is nowhere near as overheated as it was back then. So I think a dip below 60k at this point is extremely unlikely. I mean, everything is possible in crypto, sure, but I don't see why this would happen, short of some really bearish news coming out. I don't particularly see any reason for it. We won't be trending sideways forever. I mean, we already see today, unless this candle gets completely obliterated by the end of the day, well, it looks like we broke this sideways movement. So if we're not going down, if we're not trading sideways, well, then we have to go up. And I think the market is primed for it. If we look at overall state of the cryptocurrency market, we've just exceeded $3 trillion. Bitcoin's dominance is still above 40%, 41% in fact. So we are not in the typical altcoin season. Like I just showed you, fear and greed index is in a greed territory, but in a healthy greed territory. And essentially everything looks like it's primed for the prices to go up. So that's why I think that we will see some upwards movement from Bitcoin in the coming days. I think we'll see something between 70 and 80k before the end of November. I wouldn't be surprised if then we'll see a bit of a pullback and then another leg up in December, possibly to something between 90 and 100k. So overall, I think that Bitcoin is about to go up in price. That's what I expect next for Bitcoin. That's what I expect to happen in November. I certainly don't expect November to be just going sideways for another 3 weeks. Then if we look at ETH, although on a day-by-day basis, it may not seem like ETH is doing that much. Yes, it hit few new all-time highs, but they were very modest moves up in terms of in terms of price. If we look actually at the period of the last month or so, it's been a month and a half almost. It's been a very steady, consistent move up. It's actually quite incredible how consistent it's been since early October. And if we were to make a bit of a guess what may happen next. So if we were just to draw a line following that trend, and then another one covering the peaks, you could speculate that if we just continue on this trend line, ETH would hit by the end of this year anything between $6,500 and just over $7,000. That's if we keep bouncing back between these two lines. Of course, it's nothing more than a speculation. It's anything can happen. If anything, it would be very, very surprising if we continued on this trend line for so long. But if we look at previous movements, I've mentioned this in video last week, I think, that ETH has this tendency of going pretty steadily up and then suddenly literally doubling in price in a period of like 2 weeks. We've seen this early this year. Similar thing happened in 2017 as well, when we observed pretty much identical pattern with that sudden move up in the last 2 weeks before then it dipped considerably. So I don't think it's unreasonable to expect same thing happening now as well. This movement here is quite similar to this pattern. So we could expect ETH to potentially dip a bit or continue on this trajectory, and then eventually literally just shooting up and doubling in price, which, well, at current prices that would take it up to close to $10,000. And $10,000 ETH is what a lot of people are expecting to happen in this market cycle. Of course, for this movement to happen, that sudden rise in price, there has to be a huge amount of money flowing into ETH. And that usually happens when Bitcoin hits new all-time high, when Bitcoin goes up. So if Bitcoin carries on not doing much or hitting very modest new all-time highs, there's a possibility that ETH will just continue steadily up. However, if we see Bitcoin hitting 70k plus, 80k maybe, I think it's pretty much guaranteed that people will be taking out profit. Considerable amount of people will be taking out profit. And a lot of that profit will be flowing into ETH. And that's what will potentially fuel this 2x rally up. I'm not sure when this will happen, but if Bitcoin was to hit 70 to 80k at some point in November, I wouldn't be surprised if shortly after that, as soon as we start seeing Bitcoins retracing, ETH will be next one to go up. And like I said, I would expect that to be then potentially as much as doubling the price of ETH. I will mention ADA briefly because I usually mention it in my videos when I discuss the market situation. It's been going sideways. There isn't really much happening. As always, I'm bullish on ADA. I know its time will come, but at the same time, I'm not expecting that to happen anytime soon. I think if you don't have ADA or if you don't have enough ADA, it's a great opportunity to accumulate. I think it has potential to go to $10 in this market cycle. And if you think about it, it's pretty safe bet as far as crypto is concerned, buying ADA. It's unlikely to disappear. It's unlikely to fail. It's a solid long-term investment. And of course, you can also earn interest on staking your ADA. And at the same time, it has very solid potential to go up 4 to 5x in value in this market cycle. Which, if you think about it, well, Bitcoin, I think it will double, maybe triple from its current price. ETH, I would expect it double or triple, maybe a little bit more, but not much more than triple its current value. I mean, that would take it already to almost 15k. I think 15, maybe 20k, it's an absolute max in this market cycle. I may be wrong, but I'm not expecting more from ETH. So then ADA gives you 4 to 5x comfortably, I think. And if we're considering 20k ETH, then we should consider $15 ADA, which would be 7.5x from the current price. So the way I see it is ADA actually from the top 10 cryptocurrencies is probably at the moment the safest bet in terms of potential gains because it's been going sideways. It hasn't experienced any recent move up. So yeah, I'm still bullish on it. I think it's still a really solid investment. And then a few other coins I mentioned in the last video, which I think I'll just quickly give you an update on. Star Atlas, it hasn't done huge amount of stuff. We've been talking about it somewhere here. It went up a bit, well, about 50% in fact, but nothing I think to get massively excited about. If anything, this is for me a longer term project. I have very small amount of Star Atlas. I think it is a bit of a gamble, but I think it can pay off really well. So I'm happy just holding it. Altura, that actually had a bit of a retracement. So we've seen Altura around 30 cents and then it actually hit its all-time high of around 45, 46 cents, which is absolutely insane. And then it dipped. To be honest, after such crazy run up from 4 cents, we've done very solid 10x, and that was already 4x from a month before. I think it was pretty obvious that we will have some sort of retracement. In fact, I did mention in the previous video that Altura is overheating a bit, and if the price goes down, you should potentially consider getting some. I think at current prices, well, it started picking up again. It's not the worst entry point, but I would potentially maybe wait for another dip. Certainly those levels around 20 cents. And there was a point, I think, when it dipped to like 20 or 22 cents. I think those were good entry points. I mean, that was less than 50% of its all-time high. So definitely worth getting into. It's still only 200 million market cap. It's still a very unique project with the whole idea of smart NFTs. I think this will do really, really well. I think eventually it will reach 1 billion or even multiple billions of dollars. So still very bullish on this one. If it dips, definitely worth getting into it. But like I said in my previous video, I was taking some profits back then because I felt that it was overheating a little bit. So be careful when you see those parabolic moves up. CDFI, that's been performing really well. Again, we've seen it seems to be settling around $10 now, so that's great. I think it will still go up. I think it will still probably double in price quite comfortably, maybe more. As far as I'm aware, this is the best performing gaming launchpad in terms of return on investment on all the IGOs. So I think this will do really well. I think it will carry on really well. I wouldn't buy into it right now, of course, because the price is too high. It pumped too much, but it's still certainly a very good long-term hold, or at least mid-term hold. And I'm taking part in IGOs on CDFI, so for me this is a no-brainer. I'm definitely holding on to it. Polka City, that was one of my calls from the previous video. Polka City has been interesting because I was talking about it on, I think it was the 1st of November. So the price was around from about $15, $30. And then literally 2 days later, it hit its new all-time high and more than doubled in price. Then it corrected, of course, a bit, but it was a good call to move some of my money at the time from Altura to Polka City. I think this still has a long way to go. The market cap is still only 20 million. if you consider what's happening with NFTs, or what the potential for NFTs, gaming and everything related to that, and Polkadot blockchain overall picking up, I think this will easily do another 5x, maybe 10x from here, maybe more. So I'm happy holding that. I may add a bit more over time, especially if the price dips again. But yeah, I'm happy with taking position in this one and definitely happy to increase it. So just to summarize this video, I really wanted to focus most on Bitcoin and ETH and what's likely to happen next. So will we see 10k ETH this year? Will we see 100k Bitcoin? I think essentially the answer is, well, nobody knows, but I think the next few days, couple of weeks tops, will be crucial to essentially be able to give the answer to this question. If Bitcoin goes sideways, I think ETH will carry on increasing in value, but at a very modest pace. By the way, when I say Bitcoin going sideways, it may hit new all-time high, but if it's like, I don't know, 68k, 69k, I don't think anybody cares about that. Everyone expects Bitcoin to do another move like this or similar to this. So as long as Bitcoin is going sideways, ETH will slowly increase in value, which would probably mean ETH around 6 to 7k towards the end of the year, and Bitcoin hopefully around 70k or a bit more. But if Bitcoin finally breaks out of this cycle, which quite possibly is happening right now, well, we may then see Bitcoin hitting 70 to 80k in the coming days. And then if we see retracement from that level, if we see something like we've seen here with Bitcoin, that will then fuel ETH rally. As long as Bitcoin is rallying up, ETH will continue going up, but at a very steady pace. We need Bitcoin to go up and then start dipping for ETH to actually properly start rallying, because essentially that's the money from this dip is then fueling ETH. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for essentially over the next couple of weeks. What will Bitcoin do? What will ETH do? And then we'll see whether that means I should start taking some profits out of Bitcoin and into ETH, or just wait and see what will happen next. But in any case, I think the next few days and weeks will be absolutely crucial to see how the rest of this cycle will pan out, or how long this cycle is likely to be. I hope you found this video useful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.